podcast. We are Mary Ellen Humphrey. Our guest is Joan Wahl, and I'm Susan Landrigan. We're coming to you today from the Innovation Studio at Lakeshore Center for the Arts in Westfield, New York. In addition to her first successful book, Summer Love, she has a second book, Falling for Autumn. Joan has just come back from the HEA Book Festival, which she was invited to attend in Nashville.
So actually it was near Knoxville.
Okay.
I wish it was in Nashville because my books are set in Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
But it was in a town near Knoxville, Tennessee.
Okay.
And this is a pretty big conference, right?
There were probably about 50 romance authors there.
Wow.
All different tropes. Romantasy and dark romance is very popular. And those are the people that sold the most books.
Romantasy, what is that? Fantasy and romance?
Yes.
Okay. And dark romance is like?
Probably not vampires, but that's sort of
Okay.
a trope. Yeah.
So these are subgenres of the genre.
Yes. There was really only one other woman there who wrote books similar to me that was contemporary romance. And her books all take place in a fictional town, Willow Creek. And she's written, the first 7 books have been published. She said 8 is about to come out, and she's planning for it to be a 12-book series.
Wow.
So I got her first 3 books, and I'm anxious to read those.
Mm-hmm.
There were a lot of really interesting authors there. And one of the things about attending a big festival that was nice was getting to see how people had their booths set up, what they had for sale besides their books, what they had for like a giveaway, what kind of promotional things they had behind them, like those things you can make on Canva that it just rolls right down.
Like a background.
Yeah, a background stand.
And flags and sort of things.
Yeah, they had a lot of
Swag.
a lot of swag.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I took a lot of swag, and unfortunately I came home with a lot of swag because I didn't know what was going to sell. I had tote bags, I had mugs, and I had t-shirts made.
Mm-hmm.
And I always have the t-shirts with my book cover on them. But I thought nobody's going to want a t-shirt with my book cover on it. So I came up with a slogan that I had put on the t-shirts. And actually the t-shirts sold really well. And the t-shirts attracted people to the booth.
Okay.
So that was good.
Okay.
But
So how many days was this?
It was a 3-day event. It started Friday at 4. And they sold VIP passes. So the only people there Friday evening from 4 to 7 were the VIPs. And then it was all day Saturday and Sunday from 11 to 4.
Wow. So you must have been pretty tired at the end.
I was, and it was a very long trip.
And you just got home back yesterday, right?
Yes, it was about a 10-hour drive.
Wow. Are you glad you did it?
Yes, I'm glad I did it. I wish I had sold more books, but it was definitely worth going to.
Okay. Okay.
And my sister-in-law went with me because the booth was supposed to be manned at all times.
Mm-hmm. And you need to make bathroom breaks and that kind
right,
of
and then
there was something to eat.
And fortunately, the convention center had a cafe in it, so we didn't have to leave the premises to go anywhere. But
so I'm curious, what would you say was the number one thing that you gained from going to this?
I think what I need to do as more books come out,
Okay.
because a lot of the authors. I was a little surprised I got in because most of the authors were very prolific and had written a lot more books than me. And a couple people I talked to had different kinds of books. One woman had paranormal romance and children's books, both in her booth that she had written. And I didn't come home with as many books as I thought I might. I was afraid I was going to buy books from almost everybody.
Mm-hmm. I have a tendency to do that.
But some of us swapped books. They're like, oh, I'll take your book. You can have my book. But there was one woman there, and I wish I had looked at her books. She wrote sci-fi romance.
Oh, how nice.
And I kind of couldn't picture what sci-fi romance was going to be like.
Mm-hmm.
I should have paid closer attention to her books, but I didn't.
I think that's Nurse Chapel and Spock.
She was a very interesting character. And, people were telling me about other events around the area. because most of them didn't know, except the people that were close, had booths close to mine, didn't realize how far I'd come for this. Because a lot of them were Tennessee authors.
Okay.
I talked to one woman who had driven like 6 hours, but
I wonder if there's similar book festivals closer to here.
well, a lot of people ask me how I found out about this one, since it was
Right.
so I had driven so far, and I had found out about it from Writer's Digest.
Oh, okay.
I don't subscribe to it, but I get their emails.
Okay.
And early in the year, like January or February, I saw an email from them, and it was a list of book festivals for 2025.
Oh, wow.
So there wasn't anything close in Pennsylvania. There wasn't anything close in Buffalo. There wasn't anything close in Ohio. But I read about this one, and it said it was strictly for romance authors.
Which makes sense, yeah.
And I thought, well, if I have to pay to even apply for it, I wasn't going to do it. But it didn't cost anything to send in the application. And then a couple weeks later, I applied for it in March. And a couple weeks later, they sent me like the subsequent application. I think they had weeded out some people and then, sent me a specific application that I filled out and sent back. And they said, it was kind of strange the way they worded it. They said, if you get an invoice from us, you've been accepted.
Oh.
And I thought, well, okay, if I don't get an invoice, I guess that means
when do you find
I
out?
didn't get in. And about 2 weeks later, I got the invoice.
Okay.
So I found out in April that I was going to go to it.
Well, for people who don't know, why don't you tell us about your books?
Okay, so the first book in the series is Summer Love in Music City. And this book is about Summer, who's a small town librarian, and she falls in love with a famous country music star. And it's about how they navigate trying to get to know each other without the whole world watching them.
Okay.
And if you follow country music at all, he's famous like somebody like Garth Brooks, Luke Bryan,
Okay.
that level of fame. So she's sort of this, shy, quiet introvert. And their personalities, he's kind of got this larger than life personality. So their personalities are different, but it's sort of a love at first sight for both of them.
Okay.
And then, kind of the trials and tribulations of, how they're getting to know each other and what his fans think and what the world thinks. Almost sort of like the whole, Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce kind of thing.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Everybody knows what's going on.
Not
But
yeah.
you wrote this before them.
I did, yes, that's true. So I started writing this book during COVID in 2020. And I went back to work after 9 weeks. And at first I thought, oh, this was a nice little hobby, fun thing to do to, when I couldn't go to a bookstore, a library, a movie theater, a restaurant.
Right.
But then I went back to work and I couldn't stop thinking about the characters. So I finished it probably sometime in 21, shopped it around a little bit, and I ended up with a small hybrid publisher in Texas.
Okay.
And so the first book came out in November of 2023.
Okay.
And when the first book came out, I had actually already finished the second book. And so the second book is Falling for Autumn. And Autumn is the main female character in this book. She is Summer's twin sister.
Okay.
And Autumn's life has been affected by the fact that her sister is now linked to someone who's famous. So Autumn is trying to find her love story. And she's having a hard time because everybody that dates her wants the introduction to Brody, to
Okay.
The famous
the
person.
famous country star.
Yeah, right.
So book 2 is about how she's navigating trying to find someone that isn't just angling for the introduction to the famous musician.
A hurdle she has to get over.
Yes. So her book is quite different from Summer's in the fact that Autumn marries someone and it's a marriage of convenience. His first wife passed away and he's trying to keep his family together. And his former in-laws, his deceased wife's parents, want to try to get custody of his children. So they have a very unconventional beginning. And so they have their own different set of trials and tribulations than Summer and Brody had. All my books always have a happily ever after, though. I will. That shouldn't be a spoiler alert.
That is a term that I have now learned that I never knew was a term.
Yes.
And I see it everywhere now. Happily ever after things are referring to what you said.
Right. And so the festival I attended was actually called the Happily Ever After Book Festival.
How nice.
So
maybe we should have a happily ever after night here at the center.
Yeah, that's an idea. So there's happily ever after, and there's, what is the other?
Happily for now.
Happy for
For
now.
now. Yeah, HFN.
I think happy for now is probably more realistic.
It is. But of course, you know, and I
For some of us, not
Yeah.
everyone.
I love Hallmark movies.
Yeah.
And, you know, one of the pitches I give to people when they come up to the booth is, you know, I say, you know, I kind of explain it to them. And sometimes I will say, if you like Hallmark movies, they're very similar to a Hallmark movie, but they have bedroom scenes in them. And a lot of people are like, oh, I love Hallmark movies. And some people are like, that's not my thing. And, you know, to each his own.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what the plots remind me of.
Let me ask you this question. Are these it, or do you have more?
Oh, no. The third book is done.
Okay.
I'm planning for the third book to come out probably in November of 26.
Okay.
Because usually from the time I send the book to my publisher till it's ready, it's about a 6-month process.
Okay. And you're very happy with how this is going?
Yes. My publisher does have a right of first refusal on everything I write. That was part of my contract. And I sign a new contract with every book. But the interesting thing about book 2 was when I was reviewing the contract, it was almost identical to the one for the first book. But in this one, I had to say that nothing was AI generated.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So that
There's
was
so much of that going on.
Yeah,
right
so
now.
that was a big difference between book 1 and book 2.
That's a whole nother story we could do.
Yes, you could do a
Can
whole
you
podcast
give
just
us-
on that.
Can you give us a sneak peek to your third book?
So in the first book, Brody, the main male character, has twin sisters, and their names are Bailey and Brennan. And Brennan is book 3, almost done. You know, and I need to tweak a few things I've changed my mind about. But the main question everyone asks me, mostly for people who haven't read the book and don't realize summer and autumn are their names, have said to me, oh, it's going to be summer, autumn, winter, spring,
Yeah.
which was never the plan.
Yeah.
But so many people have said that, I thought, okay. So book 3, probably November of 26. And I had a hard time coming up with a title that had winter in it because I want their names in the title too. So book 3 is going to be Brennan's Winter Promise.
Oh, nice.
I've actually just started book 4.
Wow.
Wow.
Good for you. Wow. I'm impressed.
Mhm.
And you're having fun.
I am.
Which is the most, think of all the memories she's making with this book. You know, not only writing the book, but going out there and going to events and having people read it and call you and talk to you and whatever.
Well, and another great thing I got to do was meet 2 of my publishing team.
Oh.
Some of them work remotely, but some of them are in Texas. And I found out they were going to be at an event in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And so I said to my husband, we need to go meet them. So I've gotten to meet some of the publishing team.
Great.
So that was really fun.
Nice. Yeah.
What advice would you give to someone who's looking to write romance books?
I didn't want to self-publish. I know it's very popular, and but I knew I couldn't do it. I wanted somebody, you know, I sent them my ideas for the book covers. I said, this is what the characters look like. You know, I had fun doing research for what I wanted my book covers to look like. I wanted a professional editor.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
So I feel like hybrid publishing gets a very bad reputation.
Well, there's a difference between hybrid and vanity.
Vanity, yes.
Yeah, a hybrid can be good or bad, but vanity.
Yeah, I think if you do your research, then that's the most important thing.
Good.
That's good.
Excellent.
And I would always have somebody review your contract before you sign it.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
It's a very good idea.
I was lucky that I worked for a large law firm, and so when I gave it to one of my bosses, and he looked at it for me.
Did he make changes?
No.
Okay.
He had a few suggestions, but nothing really jumped out at him as being a red flag.
Okay.
Mhm.
Excellent.
So yeah, do your research is the best thing I can say.
Well,
Right.
thank you for sharing this time with us and our listeners and our viewers.
Yeah.
And
I'll come back when book 3's ready.
yes, absolutely.
You'll see me again.
Yeah. And we'll see everybody next time.
Thank you.